Greetings, Karen Clay. Thanks so much for joining me for another segment of the Feldenkrais method, my interpretation of it. We're going to be working with the spine for a while, both the front of the spine and the back of the spine. So I want to show you this first. So when you bend forward, it's called flexion because you flex forward. You get shorter in the front, you get longer in the back. You can see that shape in the spine. And then if you bend backwards, that's called extension. That means the front gets long and the back gets short. So there's the two of those two together. And then the other movement that the spine can make is it can bend to the side, which is called side bending, or you can twist around your midline, which is called rotation. Okay. I also would like to show you a schema for a vertebra. Here is a vertebra right here. So this would be at the front of the body. This would be at the back of the body. And these sticky outy bits are called processes because they proceed forward, in this case backwards, but they're places for muscles to attach. And in this ditch here, you're looking at this from overhead, is where the back muscles are. So if you touch your back, you're touching this little process right here, which sticks out quite a bit, you can see, from the vertebral canal and the body of the vertebra in front. And it's very similar to the shape of a B52. So you can see that the spine has a nose, just like the plane has a nose, and the spine has a tail, just like it has a tail, and the spine has two wings, just like the airplane has two wings. So let's take a look at this. If we're looking down, this would be to the right, and this would be to the left. If this vertebra turns to the right, which way is the tail going to go? Tail's going to go to the left, right? Correct? So just like on an airplane, when the airplane turns right, the tail goes left. When the airplane turns left, the tail goes right. So that's going to help you a little bit in sensing and feeling your vertebra as we flex, extend, side bend, and rotate. All right, now the next thing I need to show you is that I would like you to pause your phone and go get a blanket. You can see I have a blanket here. It's a cotton blanket. It's either cotton or wool is what's desired because you want it to be firm. And you don't want to use one of those foam rollers, those hard foam rollers. It's way too hard and it's way too big. It needs to be firm but soft enough to give a little bit. And it needs to be as long as you are from the bottom of your pelvis to the top of your head because you're going to lay your whole spine on it. So go ahead and get that. And then come on back when you're ready. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to just take a baseline of how we sense the front and back of ourselves right now. So please just come into standing. And just notice whether you feel more of the fronts of the feet or the backs of the feet. Is your weight more on the balls of your feet or your heels? Are your knees locked? Or are they bent? Or are they soft, which would be straight but not locked? What's your tension level in your lower back? How close are your arms to the sides of your body? And does your head feel forward, like you're pulled forward in your head? Or does it feel tense in the back of your neck? So good. We'll stop there. We'll come back again and do this at the end of our lesson. So coming down now on to your roll, let me show you how to do. So you kind of straddle it and sit down on it. And then just make sure that your head and your tail are both on top of the roll. Your feet are standing on either side of the roll at about hip width apart. And just get used to the fact that you're resting over this cylinder or this tube, this large tube. And again, if it feels too hard, then it probably is. And if it flattens to the ground and doesn't give you any cylindrical shape, like a fleece blanket won't work at all, then go make an adjustment. And so just begin to get used to being on top of this roller, and notice first of all your shoulders. Can you feel your right shoulder blade and how it's draping down the slope of the cylinder of the blanket roll? And can you feel the left one doing the same? So it's kind of like your shoulder blades are the sides of a saddle that are draping over the belly of the horse. Just see if you can let those shoulders drop down and let go. One thing you may want to try to do is to take one arm to the ceiling and just reach to the ceiling with your arm, and then let your shoulder drop, 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 drop down into the side of the belly of the horse. So you can do that a few times on one side. You can add the other arm, reaching to the ceiling, feeling the shoulder blade move away from the roll, and then letting it all drop down. So you can spend a lot of time alternating side to side and doing this to educate your shoulder blades to become free from your spine and free from your shoulder blades. You may notice that when you reach with one arm, there's a little movement across the roll. When you reach with the left, you roll a little to the right. When you reach with the right, you roll just a little bit to the left. Good. Now let your arms down again and sense if your shoulder blades are more able to let down towards the floor. Now let's do something similar with the pelvis. I'm just going to put my fingers on the front of my pelvis so you can see. You might also want to do that to help you feel. You're going to start to roll the right side of your pelvis towards the floor and stop and come back to the apex of the cylinder. Once again, just a tiny movement towards the floor with the right side of the pelvis. Don't go as far as you can go, and come back up to center. Do that one more time on the right and back to center, and then begin with the left. And as you do the left, what's the difference that you notice in the quality of the movement between going to the left and back to center and going to the right and back to center? And then please alternate from right to left, feeling how you need to use your legs and your feet. Please keep your knees in the center. Don't allow your knees to fall right and left because you'll lose your balance then. So you want your knees in the center, but you want your pelvis to shift a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. And this is only for you. You're not trying to fulfill some standard. So please only go as far as you can where you feel like you're really in control of the movement and you're not liable to slip or fall all the way to the floor. And you're incrementally moving the back of your pelvis, your sacrum, which is the root of your spine. It's the place where your spine grows roots into the back of your pelvis. How you're moving that sacrum across the apex of the cylinder. Good. Come back with your pelvis, and now just begin to let your head do the same thing. Just let it begin to turn or slide towards the right, and then slowly, 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 glacially bring it back up to center. Do that again to the right, so you do 3 to the right first. Now, how are you tipping or tilting or rolling your head? Are you rolling your nose towards the floor? Or are you tipping your ear towards your shoulder, or some combination of those two? Anything is possible, and anything is perfect. As long, go ahead and start on the left after you've done 3 on the right. As long as it doesn't cause you any discomfort. And what you're doing is you're controlling the fall. Like the fall is in slow motion. So rather than actually falling off the roll, colliding with the floor, straining your neck, you're controlling the lowering of your head so that it never feels precipitous or like you're going to lose control. Good. Now alternate rolling to the right. So that could be turning or side bending. Side bending is ear to shoulder. Turning would be nose directly to the side, not nose down towards your shoulder. So I'll say that again on the other side. If you were to roll only, your nose would stay in a horizontal line parallel to your shoulders. It wouldn't get closer to your shoulder. If you were side bending, your nose would stay towards the ceiling, but your ear would come towards your shoulder. I'll show that on the right side. That would be ear to shoulder, but nose to the ceiling, not nose to the side. And if you did a combination of those things, which is what I like the best, then you're rolling a little bit, but tipping a little bit. So go back and forth, and if you feel comfortable, start to increase as how far you go to the right and to the left. And then come back to center, and please roll towards me till you're off your roller, and take your top hand and reach behind you. Pull the roller out from behind you and come and lie on your back for just a moment. Sense how you feel painted to the floor. And then bend your knees, stand your feet, roll to your side, press to sitting, come up to standing, and let's take a baseline of how it feels to come up into standing now. So you may notice some differences in how you're standing, in how you sense the front of your feet and the back of your feet, how you sense the width between your hands and the side of your pelvis, whether your head feels forward or right in line, whether you have a sense of being lifted or being pulled down towards the ground. So we'll stop there. We're going to continue this lesson next week, so you will also need a blanket roll next week. Thanks for watching, and I do hope you come again. And please do subscribe.